Hi, I'm Sean McVeigh with Sean's Outdoor Adventures, and in this video I'm going to show you how to tune an Xpedition Xcentric 7. This is a 2015 model, but I am under the understanding that the 2016 model is pretty much the same thing. I picked up this particular model from somebody who owned it, who was the second owner. So it's a year-old bow and I'm the third owner. Since it's a used bow, there are some things I need to change right off the bat. The first being the draw modules. The person I bought it off of had a 28.5-inch draw. I needed to pick up some separate modules so that I could use the 31-inch draw. One thing you'll need if you're going to work on one of these bows is the torque style screwdriver head. You'll see right there. I actually picked up a set today so that I could work on this bow.
Technically you could switch out the top or the bottom module first, but I'm going to show you the bottom module first because it's kind of more important. The first thing you do obviously is you remove the two screws that are in the current module, and then you set your new module in place. Each module will have a letter on it, either T or a B will beginning. So obviously the one that begins with a B means bottom module. So for doing the bottom, you want the module that has the B on it, and you screw that in place. And here's the real important part. For the bottom cam, there's actually a number system along here for setting the cam to your draw length. The person I got this bow from had a 28.5-inch draw length, and I needed to slide this up to about the 1.5 mark for the 31-inch draw length. When doing the top cam, it's a little different because you don't have that little setting for the draw stop. You take the module off, and again, you make sure that this module begins with a T for top cam. But before I could put my top module on, I actually had to move the draw stop peg because it was in the way. So I slid that up, and then I put that module piece on. For the top draw stop peg, I just wanted to leave it up out of the way because we're going to change that adjustment or where it's setting at later on.
The next thing I did was zero out the cam lean. So this bow is designed to have some cam lean, and the previous owner had it set for his or her specific draw shot length. But I took it back to zero. So I took all cam lean out so the cam was perfectly straight up and down. Another thing I did is the D loop was way off for where my arrow rest is. So I cut the D loop off, and in doing so I saw that the serving was in really bad shape. So I simply reserved it. Reserved the string with some serving I had here in my serving jig. So I reserved it, put the arrow rest up in the upright position, and I clipped an arrow on with a level on it. And I had the bow in a bow vise. So I got the arrow perfectly level, and when I put the arrow rest on, I measured out 13/16 to 7/8 right in that area right there to the center of the arrow shaft. That's what the manufacturer recommends. And I set my arrow rest there. So everything is dead on here. The next thing I did was shoot through paper. After my first shot, I had a low left tear. So there's two things I'm going to need to do. One is I'm going to need to add twist to the control cable. The control cable is the cable that goes from one cam to the other. This is a 1.5 cam system. So there's two separate cables on the bow. One is a bus cable that has a yoke system on it. The other is a control cable. It goes from one cam to the other. And I should say the bus cable, the yoke system, goes from the limb to the other cam. So that's where the difference lies. One goes from one cam to the other cam. One goes from hooking on the cam to the limb. So when you have a low tear, which is what I had, you want to add twist to the control cable, which is the cable that goes from one cam to the other. To start off with, I put 2 twists in my control cam because my tear was quite significant.
Some people like to work on the bottom cam, but I'm using the top to show you the difference between the control cable and the bus cable, which is the yoke system. You can see that I'm making my twists on the control cable, and when I'm doing it, I usually count in half-turn increments. So I'll go half turn, 1, 1.5, 2, etc.
And then I shot through paper again. As you can see, my vertical tear was in much better shape. So at this point in time, it's time for me to work on this left tear that I have. The way that you handle a left tear is, in this situation, you have 2 options. You can either add twist to the yoke on the bus cable on the left hand side, or you can take twist out of the yoke on the right hand side. Which is better? Well, I looked at the amount of twist that was in my overall cable that was going, to the limb, and it looked like there was so much twist that I opted to take twist out of the yoke on the right hand side. So again, I had a left tear. Normally you would add twist to that side, or you could take twist out of the other side. So that's what I did. I took a couple twists out. I then shot through paper again. I was a lot closer, but I still needed a little bit more. So I took a little more twist out and then shot through paper again. As I got closer with my right to left correction, I began to see a little more clearly that my vertical was still a little bit off. So I added one more twist to the control cable. As you can see, within just 5 shots through paper, I'm shooting a perfect bullet hole. And I have to be honest, this is one of the easiest bows I've ever worked on to tune, it was really nice and enjoyable. The last thing I needed to do was solidify my draw stops. So at this point in time, I put the bow on the draw board in order to set the draw stop for my top cam. So the way it works is the bottom cam draw stop is set, and then when you get all of the other tuning done that I just showed for paper tuning, then you slide the top draw stop against the against the limb when it's at full draw. So I put it on the draw board, drew it back, slid it into position, and then tightened up. There is one challenge with the way it's designed for someone with a long draw length like mine, and that is that the cables are in the way for you to be able to tighten down on that peg. So what you actually have to do is slide it into position. Well, before you put it on the draw board, you get it somewhat snug, but to where you can still slide the draw peg or draw stop peg a little bit. You put it on the draw board, draw it back, slide it into position, and because it's a little bit snug, it'll stay there as you let down on the draw board, and then you can go in and tighten it. Because like I said, those cables are in the way for you to be able to do the adjustment when it's at full draw. One other thing I'd like to mention too is when I got the bow, the cables were in the wrong slide spots. The cables should not be physically in contact with each other, and they should kind of cross paths below this cable guard thing. When I got the bow, I guess one of the owners had worked on it or something, I don't know. they were like this, and the cables were crossing above the cable guard, and they were in physical contact with each other. If yours looks like that, they're in the wrong spots. So you'll need to just pop them out and switch them over. So that's it. It's that easy. I really enjoy the bow. It's pretty fast. I just shot it through the chronograph. Right now it's at 63.9 pounds. And with a 350 grain arrow, I was shooting around 325 feet per second. That's a pretty fast bow. It's super quiet, much quieter than the Hoyt that I had been shooting, and very little hand shock. Oh, I will also say this right before I come to a conclusion here. When I did all the tuning, I had the limb bolts maxed out, so it was at peak weight. This is a 65-pound limb, and after I finished all my tuning, then I backed the limb bolts out a little bit. I like to shoot right around 64 pounds, and the scale read 63.9, which is close enough. But hey, if you watch this video and you think, wow, I think I'd kind of like to shoot one of those bows, maybe even pick one up, write to them. Say, hey, I'm checking out your bow, even if you're just looking into it. I'm checking out your bow because I saw it on Sean's Outdoor Adventures, and I thought it looked like a good bow. I'm excited. I'm going to be using this bow coming up forward here, and I can't wait to see something walk by while I got this baby in my hands, because it's fast and it's quiet, and I want to see what it does. Till next time, take care, and God bless.